Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to talk about 7 reasons I use einkorn flour. I am actually crazy about einkorn flour and all the things it's been making my family lately. And I've been consuming it for many, many years. And now I have converted much of my diet to exclusively using einkorn flour. And I've noticed some big changes in my health. And I found that einkorn flour makes my life easier in regards to making foods for my family that they can consume easily and I can make easily. I use einkorn flour to make tortillas, bagels, pizza, breads, cookies, pasta, and other baked goods that don't actually need fermentation. Since the gluten is very different, the phytic acid is different, and I really love the results. My body thrives on einkorn. I don't have any more energy crashes. I have less craving for sweets and unhealthy foods. So I want to share with you all the reasons I consume einkorn flour and make so many things with it. And it's really interesting because it's why the ancient people, because it's been around for 12,000 years, called it the staff of life. And they called it the staff of life before we changed it and almost made this wheat go extinct. It's the oldest wheat there is. So here are the 7 reasons I use einkorn flour. Number 1, phytic acid is 50% less in einkorn. So phytic acid or phytate is found in plant seeds, and it serves as the main storage form of phosphorus in the seeds. It impairs the absorption of iron, zinc, and calcium, and this is the way that the plant protects itself, creates these phytic acids in it. And if you eat this and those things aren't decreased, it may prevent mineral deficiency in the bottom and vitamins. It can't absorb these things. And it's designed to be that way until it sprouts and gets wet. They used to do that years. They would put the sheaths of grain in the field and they would sprout from the dew. And this would unlock the phytic acid in it. So phytic acid is, before I say that, the reason we don't do that nowadays is because we don't leave them in the field. We automatically put them through the machines. And so they never have a chance to sprout and lose. And that's with all grains. But phytic acid is the grain that you need to be neutralized so you can absorb the minerals and vitamins. So when you ferment bread with a sourdough starter or you sprout the grain, you eliminate that phytic acid. And about 90% of the phytic acid remains in breads that aren't sprouted or made with cultures. But here's the difference. Einkorn flour does contain phytic acid. However, it has 50% less phytic acid than regular wheat. And it also contains biotase, which is an enzyme that breaks down phytic acid, making it much easier for the body to absorb the vitamins and minerals. Things like vitamin A, magnesium, B6, and much more. The nutrition from einkorn wheat is much higher than in other wheats. And einkorn has more protein, it's lower in carbohydrates. It has about 30% more protein than regular wheat and 30% less starch than flour made with modern wheat. It is also rich in carotenes, the natural red, yellow, or orange pigments that are found in many vegetables and fruits. Carotenes have the medicinal properties that help prevent serious disease, and einkorn has 30% more phosphorus, manganese, zinc, B6, magnesium, and potassium when compared to other modern forms of wheat. Einkorn has this incredible nutty flavor, silky texture, it's almost buttery, and it has that yellow color in it, which is the carotenes. And you can use it in baked goods like crackers, cookies, pasta. I do this all the time. Now, einkorn is so much better for those with gluten intolerance. It has these unique properties that make it better for anybody who's allergic to wheat. Modern wheats have been crossed with 2 different goat grasses, and goat grasses contain the D genome, which is the source of almost all gluten intolerances. Einkorn does not contain that genome. It contains A genome instead of D. And most testing for gluten intolerance is based on that D genome. And while einkorn does contain gluten, it's a different type of gluten and allows for easier digestion and nutrient absorption. All wheat that we consume today is descended from einkorn wheat, all of it. And einkorn wheat has about 14 chromosomes as compared to other kinds of wheat which have 28 to 42. So we really changed the wheat when we hybridized it. And this is important because some studies show that ancient wheat with its fewer chromosomes have lower levels of gliadins. And gliadins are proteins that cause sensitivity in those who struggle with gluten. An interesting thing, one of the reasons I really found and discovered how great einkorn is for those with wheat allergies was from the founder of Jovial Foods. She helped to bring einkorn wheat back from extinction. And it was so close to extinction a few years ago because it was so difficult to harvest and mill. It has 1/5 of the yield that modern wheat has. And so the founder really went to do this because her daughter had a severe wheat allergy, and she was trying to find an ancient grain that maybe she could have that wouldn't make her so sick, and it made her very, very sick. And I have her story. It's in her book, Recipes for Nature's Original Wheat, which is Einkorn Recipes for Nature's Original Wheat. And it's a cookbook too. Fabulous recipes, just absolutely fabulous. But she also posted about it on her blog, and I'm going to link that in the article so you can go read it because it's a very powerful story. And we've seen a lot of people experience the same thing when they eat einkorn. Their symptoms of gluten intolerance are just no longer present, and it becomes a mainstay in their diet. And everybody should test it to make sure that they can handle it. But I've seen some really wonderful things happen. And her story is so impressive that I really encourage you to go read it because her daughter had some of the worst allergies I had ever seen to wheat. And it's an amazing thing that she brought this wheat back. And now she's one of the leading manufacturers of einkorn wheat now. And there's a lot of other ones too that are doing it now. And actually, I've tried so many of them. They all make great einkorn flour. And she also makes pastas, which I buy all the time. I also make my own, but there's some that I don't do, the smaller ones. I make the lasagnas and the spaghettis and the fettuccine, but I don't make the little noodle ones. You have to have the right appliance for that. But she makes and sells them in crackers, and she does a great job on her website. I'm going to link all the places that you can get einkorn wheat in this article so you can have a look and see which best fits your budget or which one would be easier for you. Now, another thing that einkorn does very effectively is help with blood sugar and diabetes. The studies have found that ancient wheat decreases cell protection relating to glucose and fat metabolism. And einkorn also helps prevent or delay diabetes development while improving your digestion and nutrient absorption. Consumption of einkorn bread can lead to enrichment. Consumption of einkorn bread can lead to enrichment in short-chain fatty acid producers, which are made in the gut by the microbiome, which creates a very high metabolic diversity. So 1 cup of whole grain wheat flour has about 87 grams of carbohydrates. That's regular wheat. And 1 cup of whole grain einkorn flour has 51 grams of carbs. So there's quite a difference. And it has the most protein of any grain, and it really doesn't spike your blood sugar as quickly as modern wheat does. Dr. Davis wrote in his book, Wheat Belly, after testing himself on einkorn bread, his blood sugar at the start was 84 milligrams. Blood sugar after consuming einkorn bread was 110 milligrams, which isn't very much for wheat. But when he did regular wheat bread, because he tested both of them, he started at 84 milligrams, and after consuming it, it went to 167 milligrams, which is very high. So, and he has a wheat allergy too, so it's more severe in him. He also went on to say that he was impressed with the difference in response to the ancient wheat and the modern wheat in his home, and he actually made these breads. He made the einkorn bread and made the whole wheat bread. Surely something odd was going on here, he said. My personal experience, of course, does not qualify as a clinical trial, but it does raise some questions about the potential difference that spans a distance of 10,000 years. Ancient wheat that predates the changes introduced by human genetic intervention versus modern wheat, because this is the most ancient wheat there is. Now, I said earlier that einkorn wheat produces a higher protein content and bioactive compounds, such as polyunsaturated fatty acids, short-chain fatty acids, fructans, tocopherols, carotenes, phytoesterols make really good einkorn flour a great candidate to provide healthier foods for our guts because they have so many compounds in this wheat that makes such a big difference. Einkorn helps to feed the friendly bacteria in our gut because of those short-chain fatty acids, and they help ferment the fibers in einkorn flour and become the main source of energy for the cells lining your colon that keep you healthy and prevent disease. They feed bifidobacteria, which is very powerful in the role of keeping your immune system going strong. And these types of things can reduce the risk of inflammatory diseases, IBS, type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and many others. So it feeds bifido and lactobacilli, Einkorn does. And it contains prebiotics that feed the other species in our gut as well. And these prebiotics found in Einkorn directly impact bifido and lactobacilli, causing them to grow like crazy and multiply. And research indicates that including Einkorn in your diet could support a greater diversity of health-promoting bacteria. In addition, this increase in specific species of intestinal bacteria help to maintain the intestinal mucosal lining that feeds Akkermansia, that bacteria is responsible for keeping your gut lining intact. And it also feeds that. So it feeds Akkermansia, it feeds lactobacilli, and it feeds bifido. And those are some of your very most important bacteria that really keep your immune system strong and keep your gut lining intact. Now, another great thing about Einkorn is it has had less exposure to dangerous chemicals. Much of the wheat today is sprayed with high levels of herbicides and pesticides and hazardous substances like glyphosate, which is added to wheat during and after the harvest. That's so hard on us, and it's in so many wheat products that we consume. I told you before, I get most of my wheat from Jovial Foods, but I've also gotten it from Ancient Grains, I believe is what it's called. There's another one. They make great einkorn flour too. There's several people out there making einkorn flour, and almost all of them are organic. So they're not bleached and they're not brominated or drenched in weed killer. And in Jovial Foods, in fact, it says the USDA Organics, they certified it as free of glyphosate by the Detox Project, which is a really important thing that helps people to know what they're getting in their foods. And I have found almost all the einkorn flours, like I said before, are organic and not sprayed. So that's a really big plus because, guys, we get so much of that in our food. And I love einkorns. Oh my gosh, I love the pasta that I make. I think I put it out in some of my ebooks on my website. And I made a lasagna out of einkorn flour. And I've made it several times now. And a spaghetti and a fettuccine. And basically it's just einkorn flour and eggs. That's all it is. And I made it for Christmas Eve dinner. And I had everyone in my family tell me it was the favorite meal they'd ever had. And I was shocked because they don't usually say that. Because I make a lot of diversity, so I make a lot of different meals. They loved it. It was a lasagna that was just, it has this buttery, nutty flavor that just makes the best pasta. It makes great, so many things. I just made a whole bunch of bagels. I've been doing bagels, and you guys, it's so cool because I'm making bagels with yogurt and einkorn flour, and that's it. And I make pizzas that way too. And I'm going to put the recipe on my website, but it's just 2 ingredients. And then I topped them with sesame seeds, or I put the all bagel seasoning on top with them and baked them. You could boil the bagels. They're wonderful. Anyway, it's been a real change for me, not just because I like the taste of these things, but because how it makes me feel. I never have any energy crashes with this. I can whip up stuff really fast because I don't necessarily need to ferment it all the time because it has so many less inhibitors in it, enzyme inhibitors. It naturally comes that way. And I just believe we've gotten away from some of these ancient foods that have really been designed to help keep us healthy. It does so many things, and I can feel the difference in the way that I feel. And it's exciting to me to find something I talk about a lot because I love it so much and I do it every day. This week I made 2 sets of bagels, 10 each, because everybody ate them all. They would have them for lunch, and then if people wanted avocado toast on them, and then somebody else wanted poached eggs, and everybody loved the flavor, so we did that. But I also have made naan bread with them. I've made tortillas. I've done graham crackers. These are very simple recipes, and I have an Einkorn ebook out last month, and that if you're a member, send me a link. I can give it to you if you didn't get it. But there's so many, and I'm adding them constantly. I'm adding new recipes all the time because it's so delicious, and it's making a big difference in how I feel all the time. And I think I digest it better. And the other thing I've noticed with Einkorn is when I make these things, I never overeat them. They are so nutrient dense that you eat less because you're getting so many carotenes and compounds that your body needs to make the things that your gut needs to keep you healthy. So I talk about it a lot because I love it a lot and I do it a lot. And that's what I do. If I'm talking about it a lot, it's because I really love it. So anyway, that's my take on it. Gluten has been a real problem for a lot of people. Fermented breads that are made with the regular wheats that are fermented for long periods of time, 7 to 8 hours or 10 hours or longer, break down those glutens to make them digestible, get rid of the phytic acid in the wheat. So those are very good breads too. But I think Einkorn's superior because I've been doing it a while. I've been doing exclusively Einkorn. I've seen a real difference. So anyway, that's just my personal take on it. But I'm also trying, how do I say this? Whenever I really love something, I think it's really important for health, I really talk about it so that word gets out there so people know that there are other things they can do that can really make them healthy and happy and enjoy some of the foods they might be missing. And so Einkorn is that special ancient grain that's been around for 12,000 years that could really make a big difference for people. And I wanted to share that with you. It makes wonderful, different types of combinations of baked goods and things that you'll love. Makes fabulous pizza, by the way, too. So anyway, that's just my take on it. And there's 7 reasons that I like it. There's a lot more, but I just wanted to share it with you. So have a great week, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.